assets.
We can crack the wallet.
Oh, we've done it before.
We've got rigs, character adversary, attribution mode.
With our private keys combined.
Building some kind of blockchain super weapon.
There's just a number of vulnerabilities that are in these smart contracts.
Math. It's probably secure.
They all secretly mine cryptocurrency.
What coin can I trust? Which one is cryptographically secure?
Don't roll your own crypto. CoinSec Podcast.
Hey,
We're back.
Welcome
Yay.
to the CoinSec Podcast.
Woohoo!
What's up, everybody?
Not much, just hanging out, man. Excited to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. We've all had interesting things going on the last month or so, but we're
For
back.
sure.
The good news
Again.
is that nothing got hacked while we were gone.
Right.
Of course not. Never does. You know, at least the thing is, if you don't look at it, then obviously nothing will ever happen, right? Like it's like,
Like the tree in the woods. Yeah, you can't hear it.
yeah, exactly.
If a coin falls in the woods and no one's there to cash out.
The coin mints in space. Can you hear it?
That's a good one.
Only
yeah.
if you pre-mint it and steal all the money.
Cool. Well, welcome back. We're here for episode 65 of the CoinSec Podcast. We've got, more hacks and crazy crypto stuff to talk about this week. Lots of fun, interesting stories to go through. If you want to ask us any questions, you want to chat with us, we will be in our Discord, the CoinSec Podcast Discord, in the live chat channel. And I will post the link to our show notes there in just a second. And then you can follow along with any of the stories that we talk about today.
So, Bo, it smells like Teen Spirit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can see what you did there. All right. So Corey is referencing our first story for the day, which is the Solana stablecoin Nirvana. Smells like
Got
Teen
him.
Spirit. Flash loan attack for $3.5 million. So Nirvana Finance is a decentralized finance, so DeFi yield protocol on Solana, which I don't think we've actually talked about any Solana flash loan attacks yet. So this might be a first.
Right.
At least I don't recall us talking about any Solana flash loan attacks. But this is they suffered a flash loan exploit to the tune of about $3.5 million. Nirvana's native token ANA and its stablecoin NIRV (NIRV) suffered massive price falls due to the attack. ANA slipped 89% from $8.97 to 93 cents, while the stablecoin has lost about 90% of its US dollar in the process.
Solana just can't stop. Like it just can't stop taking a beating.
Maybe it's like one of those things where you know how like we always, if you went back like, I don't know, 7 years, we were like, man, Mac OS is way more secure than Windows because it's so much harder to hack. But now Windows has been beat up so much that Defender's actually pretty good, and
Right.
Windows has gotten a lot better, right? So
Well, it only
I wonder
took 20 or 30 years, but
right. But I wonder if it's one of those things like if Solana gets beat up enough, that they will become tougher out of that.
well, one would
Yeah.
hope so, right? I mean, unless they just throw up their hands and walk away from it all, but
I feel like Solana has a decent backing from like a development perspective, so it probably
Sure.
will stick around. But yeah, like from a value perspective, it's a rough investment right now because just like has really taken a beating. 89% loss in this ANA token. It's
I
just-
put the link to the transactions for the flash loan in chat in Discord and YouTube. If you wanted to check that out, follow along. You can kind
Hack
of see how
alert.
it'll tell you which account is possibly compromised. So be careful when interacting with it, right? And you can see the whole flash loan right there. So the very bottom would be the borrowing 10.2 million USDC.
You go to all the way to the bottom. Yeah, there you go. So just quick loan for 10.2 mil. No questions asked. This is a classic flash loan and price manipulation oracle.
This was like buying a house in 2007. Oh, you want to buy $1 million house? You've got $5,000 in collateral? Hell yeah.
Here's a ninja loan. This is a ninja loan, baby. Yeah. They manipulated the protocol's oracle feed, inflating the price of A&A coins. So then they netted 10 mil basically, and then they bridged the profit through wormhole.
Do we get the magic buzz phrase today?
Nope, wormhole.
Where'd the
this
money
time.
go?
It's
Where'd the
wormhole.
money go?
Wormhole.
Oh, went out wormhole?
Yeah, they didn't use Tornado Cash. I mean, 13.9 million is probably, or 13.5 million is more than Tornado Cash probably has.
I don't know.
No, last time I looked it was 30, so I don't know.
30?
Yeah, so like this is one of those things like we do talk about pretty often, like these flash loans versus or flash attacks that end up modifying oracle price manipulation type scenarios. And it's like one of those things like why, like it feels like it's something that there should be something put in place to prevent like a mass fluctuation in a small amount of time, right? Like that doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to imagine some sort of scenario to at least like prevent that from occurring, right?
That kind of sounds like an
saying,
oracle
like, hey,
to me, right?
This oracle price has been manipulated 90% from where it was. Like that should not happen,
Yeah,
I don't know what the technical solution is to that, but
the funny thing is they say like funds are safe. How is that even possible? Like, I mean, I don't.
They've profited so much off of you that they just have enough in reserve, right, to fill it back up.
Well, yeah, no. So your
or
actual
what they're going to
coins
do
still exist. It's their USD value has devalued. So
down.
yeah,
Right.
they're safe, right?
Like, I guess
but
that's
they're
true.
worth pretty much nothing now.
The funds you put in are safe, but they're worth nothing, right? Yeah, it's just it's just funny, like the PR on Twitter, like it's such a funny thing. It's like your funds are safe. And then someone replied, "No need to explain. We all know that Solend is a good friend of hackers." These attacks would have happened with or without Solend. It just enables capital efficiency. A whale would have had enough funds to do this exploit. It's a good point. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, there's so much different bridge protocols and marketplaces and all that stuff, and all of them have to be secure if they're all dependent on each other for pricing, right? So it's kind of it's like a weakest link type of deal. But
yeah, can be a delicate ecosystem if it's not coded correctly, as we've seen.
It definitely feels like the first cryptocurrency to actually figure out price manipulation is probably going to be a pretty it wouldn't even be a cryptocurrency. It would just be like a DeFi protocol. A DeFi protocol that actually fixes price manipulation vulnerabilities would be a pretty interesting.
Yeah, because how do you basically stick with free markets?
Free
right?
market. I know that.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
and then control it at the same time. So
it is. It's funny. It's like economics students 101 being like, the free market is good. Oh God, I'm destroyed.
We lost all
like. Yeah, I mean the free market's great until someone walks in and is rich and can control it with single-handedly control it. Like, yes, this person pulled a flash loan for 10 mil, but if someone just had 10 mil, if you're an Elon Musk, that's what, like pocket change, right? I mean, that's like nothing. Somebody you just walk in with 10 mil, you can do the same attack. Mm-hmm. So,
and is it necessarily illegal, right?
Well, the price manipulation is probably some kind of fraud, right? Because we know price manipulation is illegal on the stock market. Like, I mean, Elon did price manipulation with Twitter and Tesla, and he's gotten fined for that. That's basically what this whole Twitter buyout thing seems to be, is like a price manipulation attack, just using public opinion, not using like any protocol level thing. But I think the thing that's going to be damning is when you actually go and look at the ledger, look at the transactions, you will see that the price manipulation, you'll see very obvious evidence of this price manipulation. So they'll have proof that someone sent this exploit. versus Elon just being like, no, I super really did want to buy Twitter. It's not like there's no
Right.
proof that he was trying to pump and dump. But is it illegal? Criminally, probably not, but trading wise, it's probably like considered to be some kind of wire fraud or some shit. But I don't know. That's a good. Stealing cryptocurrency is very obviously illegal, and that's what we're seeing people get popped for the most. But is this stealing? Is price manipulation?
Okay,
illegal?
that's it. We got to get a crypto lawyer on the call.
Oh yeah,
sometime.
didn't we have somebody?
Yeah, somebody offered.
We might have something in the works to get someone who works in cryptocurrency law on the show, but until then, we'll just rampantly speculate. We're not lawyers; we have no freaking clue.
Exactly.
Also, dude,
this is legal advice.
Even a lawyer, it's not like they'll tell you like the outcome of a case beforehand, right? Like it's all even in like cut and dry like property law or something. They're still not like, oh yeah, you're gonna win this 100%. Like there's always a risk. It's like surgery. Like yeah, you could die. Like so I definitely think it's a brave new world of probably will get settled. If it gets settled, it'll probably be civil. But the crazy thing is there's no consequences. Because this company, Solana or whoever, or Nirvana or ANA, or they can just be like, "No, we reissued the coins. It's all fine. Nothing happened." Like it's so, it's so funny how that works. But the public opinion will never be the same.
So next story is an Audius governance takeover. So I'm actually a little bit familiar with this project. So Audius is a decentralized music platform. The reason I'm familiar with them is because I ended up actually putting my No Bandwidth album on their platform last year. Yeah, and so the idea is like it's a way to earn like Audius coin based off of plays and that kind of thing, which I think is kind of interesting. Like the whole idea of like what's the future of like musician ownership and like rights and royalties and all that stuff going to be. Anyways, they were hacked over the weekend, and apparently 18 million audio tokens worth approximately $6 million was stolen. So Audius is a decentralized streaming platform hosted on Ethereum, where artists can earn audio tokens by sharing their music, and users can earn tokens by curating and listening to content. After a hacker stole $6 million worth of audio tokens this weekend, the platform responded within minutes by freezing several services until the developers could deploy fixes to prevent further theft tokens.
So this one is very interesting. Initially, I read it, and it talks about the attacker's able to call the initializer method over and over. So that sounds like reentrancy to me. And but what it is, basically, the person was able to delegate 10 billion audio or something like that to themselves. That way they could then pass governance, right? Like Corey stated earlier, you have all the money, you can govern the protocol if that's how it's programmed. So it looks like that's what this was. Could be a different.
They tried to
as a different type of reentrancy, but
it's almost like a DAO type of scenario, right? Like where they had enough tokens.
Exactly. It is funny that one of the governance proposals was just transfer all the money to me. Like that's seriously like it's like I elect myself CEO of the company. Okay, now I vote to sell the company and give me all the money. Okay, approved. Like it's again, it's like the free market thing. It's so silly that is an option, that it's like, oh yeah, if you own enough audio, yeah, you could just transfer all the money to you. Like, why allow that? It's so crazy. I mean, it's code, right? That's why it's allowed. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's reentrancy. I think it's just like failed to check on initialization of what like.
Well, so what's
what
weird?
Address, yeah.
Well, so what's weird? Yeah, so initialization shouldn't actually be callable after a contract has been deployed.
Right.
Like, so the initialization functions are there. Whenever you actually go to deploy the contract, you can pass certain function or certain data right to the stack, and it's something that should not have ultimately been callable, I don't think, after being deployed.
Yeah. And if it is callable, it needs to check whether it's been called before by the same wallet or the same address or whatever, which it didn't do. So no new tokens were minted, had no impact on the circulation except for the fact that they set the governance protocol to give them all the money, but whatever. So yeah, they froze. They did respond. It seems like they responded pretty appropriately. they froze services until developers could deploy fixes. So at least they were able to like somewhat stop the, but also they were able to get 18.5 million audio tokens. So
Yeah, and
I think
so what's weird though is like apparently they went to go trade on Uniswap and only ended up getting about $1 million
Right.
out of it. So I don't know
Is
if that was
the
like
price
the
or was
value.
that they got blocked?
no, I think that was just the price. If I
Yeah,
had
so-
to, like,
so
yeah,
They
Possibly
crashed
the
fast
value.
enough.
Yeah, they crashed the price themselves in the.
I think
in the
I think
meantime.
that's probably what happened is they crashed the price. It says only 5/6, losing 5/6 of their value. So like it was basically 1/6. It was supposed to be 6 million, turned out to be 1 million. But like, I don't know, $1 million for a day's work. I'm sure this person looks at it like that. Although finding this vulnerability may have taken more time. But the interesting thing with these attacks is like this one, it affects the community pool, which I assume is funded by this whatever company or entity backs this protocol, right? So like they kind of a lot of the times you're stealing from the users. This time they're stealing from like the foundation itself. It seems like so. Which a lot of the times that's how it ends up shaking down is the companies or whoever's backing it, they end up refilling the funds so then the people aren't
Yeah, if they can. Otherwise,
right.
end
It's either
game.
that or it goes goes away. So, yeah, I mean, I guess hopefully it's fixed now.
All right, so next story is Uniswap phishing attack. This was actually a pretty interesting one. So I see these all the time where so this is a super common type of scam now where basically what happens is a criminal will just send out a bunch of like a random coin that is like a scam coin, right? Like and they'll just send it to all the addresses that maybe are correlated to a specific service or to a specific NFT or something, and so users will see these transactions, right? They'll look at their Etherscan, they'll see like an incoming transaction, they'll have like an amount of X coin, right? Like almost like an airdrop, right? And in a lot of cases, these scam airdrops, they just redirect the user to like a malicious website where then ultimately they perform some type of like token approval or try to steal their seed phrase type of scenario. But this one was interesting because it was a little different. So, all right, so Uniswap users were airdropped 400 Uni tokens worth approximately, or it promised a free airdrop of 400 Uni tokens worth approximately $2,200. Users were asked to connect their crypto wallets and sign the transaction to claim the malicious airdrop. Upon connection, the unknown hacker grabbed user funds through a malicious smart contract. To date, more than 74,000 wallets have interacted with the phishing scam smart contract. Now,
so, dude, the crazy thing here, it cost 8.5 ETH to send this phishing campaign.
Yeah, but so here's the thing, right? So this is the thing that blew my mind is how successful this was, though, right? So in a lot, like I haven't seen any of these other scams this successful. $8 million was stolen. Okay,
right
now. The way that they did it is they actually ended up being able to spoof Uniswap's name on Etherscan. So like people actually looked at their Etherscan transactions and they saw something that appeared to have been airdropped to them from the actual Uniswap address. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know that was possible.
Has that been fixed, patched, and do you know how that was done?
I don't think it has been patched, but so allegedly, the way this is done is Etherscan actually picks up data from an emit function. So somebody can actually create a malicious contract, call it whatever they want. Etherscan doesn't actually correlate that off the bat, right? Like it's just a random contract. But through an emit function, you can actually emit like the name of the contract, and Etherscan will pick that up and include that in transaction logs. So that is something that I thought was like absolutely like bonkers, right? Because now you go look at your Etherscan transactions, and it appears, because so Etherscan is pretty neat in that it will try to correlate and attribute certain addresses to certain names like mining pools and exchanges and hackers even. Like it'll actually say like, hey, this was like the Audius token hacker address, right?
Right. It enriches the data. It enriches the wallet addresses, which is the whole selling point of it, is that it's enriching those wallet addresses. So if you get an airdrop, you can go and look who sent it, right? Because it's just a wallet address. They were able to take advantage of how how Etherscan pulls those addresses and labels and things to make it look like it was actually Uniswap that sent them the token. So when people go to validate the phishing campaign and say, is it real? It looks real.
Yeah, so if you look at that Etherscan, I just posted in the link there. I think that shows what Bo's talking about, where it's from Uniswap V3 Positions NFT. Is what it reads.
So I think this has since been marked.
Scroll down a bit. Right there. So you can see the from. Is that correct? Is that what we're, and then the two?
Yeah. So you see like where it looks like it's coming from Uniswap V3 positions, right?
Yeah.
So if you click on the contract address at the top, scroll up, that contract address.
To the right?
Yep. Yeah, right there. That will show you what people would have seen if they were like, who set this? Who is this? And if you look at the description, the contract address at the top there. So it says token tracker, Uniswap LP, contract creator, right? Like it looks.
Oh yeah.
Like now it's been labeled as fake phishing 5878 or whatever. But
that's what I was wondering, if it's been remediated. Like
I think it's been So this is like how Etherscan combats this, is by allowing users to report these transactions. It's kind of crowdsourcing the data. Like this stole my funds. It looks bad, but like I think what people would have seen when they initially went to the contract address would have just been where it says token tracker Uniswap LP, and then contract creator. Like it wouldn't have had this sketchy,
right.
It wouldn't have had any of this. It would have just seen that the contract creator is token or Ethers, whatever it says there. It says
and if you open up
UniswapLP.com. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Ryan, if you go back to the notes, the show notes, the link at the bottom, the Checkpoint blog, has a lot of good details on this too. That one actually shows, you can see, if you scroll down a little bit more, right there. So in that screenshot, it's kind of hard unless we zoom in on it, but you can actually see exactly what we were just looking at, right? The Uniswap V3 positions, airdropping those alleged tokens.
So it says Uniswap. The website says Uniswap LP. Basically, it would pass a spot check by a user just saying, is it legit? Yes or no. It's similar to like spoofing a domain or something like that. Yeah. You're looking at the sender address. The sender says company.com. That's who you're expecting. So you're like, all right, it must be legit then.
And then once they saw that, then they would see that there's a phishing website, UniswapLP.com, which is where they actually ended up having like a wallet draining attack.
Right. So then they go to that website. That website has a transaction for them to approve.
Yep.
They approve the transaction, expecting to get $2,200 for the Uniswap, and their wallet's drained.
So what they need to notice when you click on that to approve, it basically approves all, right? Everything. So it allows you to drain your funds from the LP, but if it was you would see it was limited to whatever that transaction should be.
I would say like the first step is, if it seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's like the basic common sense. You don't have to be a security practitioner to know that. The other thing is, it's very unlikely that anyone's ever going to airdrop this amount. Like sending out this much money via an airdrop would be something that a company or creator or protocol would announce somewhere. They're not just going to like stealthily airdrop everyone $2,200. They're going to be like, they're going to have it. There's going to be an incentive. They're going to capitalize on this. They're not just going to send money to all their users for free. It doesn't make any sense. So go and validate. It's like if your bank calls you, hang up and call your bank back and be like, hey, did you call me or whatever?
Same thing goes for our red teams and pen tests and things like that. We do in the offensive security realm is, we'll do some kind of pretext to build trust with the user. That doesn't necessarily have to be your payload or your final fish. That could be just, hey, I used to go to college with you, blah, blah, blah. Are you still around? Hit me back. right? And then somebody hits you back. There's some trust built back. Maybe you're spoofing the from. You've got, you scraped Facebook. You saw they talked to this person 10 years ago, whatever. We go deep in the weeds when we do that kind of stuff. But you can build that trust. And that's what I think they were trying to do here is, hey, look, trust us. We're giving you something. Now you have to go over here to approve it, right? And
Right.
just like you said, you need to validate beforehand. Nobody's just going to hand out free money without an announcement, right? I've gotten airdrops before, and it's always been, hey, we airdropped or whatever,
Right.
and from a legit platform, right?
And they have a duty to do that. Companies that are airdropping legitimately, because we know airdrop is a vector for phishing. It's the most common. I mean, this is a very advanced, I think the most advanced example of a phishing attack using an airdrop that we've seen. They attempted to build legitimacy. They also spent a massive amount of money, 8.5 ETH in gas fees just to airdrop this, to make this ERC20 token and airdrop it. That's like what, 14 or 15 grand that they just spent. Imagine sending a phishing campaign that costs 15 grand. You better know what you're doing. You better have, your phishing site better be good. Like, granted, it could have been 15 grand worth of stolen ETH, but I definitely think this is about the most advanced airdrop attack we've seen thus yet. Mm-hmm. Be careful with the airdrops. And like Steve said, the last step, check the actual transaction. If you don't know what you're looking at, ask someone who does, tweet about it, whatever. Just be like, is this legit? Does this transaction look okay? And, but yeah, they hit 72,000 users. 72,000 users have, wallets have been hit by this. So
yeah, and just don't blindly trust even Etherscan at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to think about what Etherscan is designed to do. It's designed to give you as much information as possible. That means that information can be poisoned. But it is it's very interesting. It's similar to like a fake code signing certificate or something, right? You look at the properties of a program, and you're like, oh yeah, it seems legit, but really it's all just faked attributes.
Right.
So, but hey, if it works once, it's good enough, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say, like, just, in my experience over the last few years of just being in crypto, like, it used to be a thing where airdrops were, very, like, common, and it wasn't as exploited as it is now, right? And I think that there were a lot of users, a lot of people that probably got trained with the mentality, like, oh, it's this airdrop, it's not going to hurt me.
Airdrop, free money, right? That's logic.
But now it's like there's been so many scams that you cannot trust any sort of airdrop blindly at this point.
No.
It takes a lot of digging and making sure and validating that it's legit.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing about the crypto space is it moves so fast. Everything can be validated some way, right? That's the whole benefit of the blockchain is you can go, who is this address? What do they do? Who is it associated with? What is the airdrop requesting? What is the transaction? All that stuff is there for you to see. But humans, we don't like to read that. We just want you get fixated on, $2,200. I want it now. You don't think about, okay, well, what, it's hard to slow down and take the human element out of it and actually use the technology that the blockchain gives you to check.
Grumpy Ninja's got a great question in Discord. So the question is, do you think there are many new threat actors doing such crypto phishing campaigns, or are there only a few of them and they simply get more and more complex? They got funds from previous campaigns to fund the next, so they can be more expensive and more sophisticated. So I believe that I don't know if it's public or not, but we should get Jack back on the show, Jack Resider, because I know he talked to somebody who actually was in like the NFT scam world, and I believe that the circles are pretty small. I'll just say that. I believe the circle of scammers and crypto hackers tends to be pretty small.
Yeah, the group of people who can pull off something this advanced is probably pretty small. If you look at things like, crappy phishing, like there's a lot of crap out there. This one is like actually pretty solid and targeted.
Yeah, we're talking groups like Lazarus Group, things like that are funded, right? Have technical backing, groups of people with the knowledge to do this type of thing. I don't think we're probably seeing too many solo artists out there, except in some of the some of the low-level hanging fruit, right? With attacks against smart
lower
contracts.
sophistication, like just sending people messages on Discord saying, hey,
Yeah.
can you see my NFT? And then it's just like a phishing link.
We've seen, we've seen a lot of action from North Korea against exchanges and things like that. So there are a lot of highly sophisticated threat actor groups out there doing these kinds of things. And like Bo said, the group of technically knowledgeable people that can do this is rather small in the whole scheme of things, but that doesn't make it less dangerous, right? In fact, it might make it more dangerous because these people have more time, energy, and resources to do these things.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people are probably using traditional cybersecurity attacks to target crypto spaces. Like I think that's what the Maui ransomware, like a lot of the North Korean stuff has been targeting crypto startups, targeting crypto whales, etc., but has been traditional cybersecurity attacks like normal phishing attacks, exploits, like social engineering. It hasn't been like smart contract exploitation, airdrop, stuff like that. I think the people who are actually exploiting the crypto stuff natively are smaller.
Yeah, and you talked about the standard like cybersecurity stuff, and that we tend to see like SQL injection, things like that. And I think some of that stuff might lead into the Premint hack that we're about to talk to, because they had some code injected into their website. And to do that, it's not typically a smart contract or anything like that. It's, web layer 2. You're interacting with a website or server or something like that to put code on it, right?
Yeah, so that one's interesting. I actually think this one might be a supply chain type of thing, right? Where they imported a library, right, that was compromised. So in this case, so Premint, this was actually a pretty big hack. And well, in the grand scheme of things, I say big hack, but it's only $400,000 that's stolen. But yeah, it's still pretty big. But it was interesting because Premint's a pretty popular site. A lot of NFT sites use it to like raffle off spots for NFT mints. And the platform had an issue where people were logging in and were getting popped up, a Metamask transaction that stole funds. And so, or actually specifically NFTs. So this one stole, made away with 320 NFTs. And allegedly,
so they stole NFTs, right? They didn't steal funds?
Both.
Right. So it looks like this was just NFTs. They probably, so what happens generally is they'll steal the NFTs and then just immediately go sell them.
Right. For like a discount.
Oh, they sold them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they'll sell them immediately under floor, right? Like under floor price.
Yep.
So that they get popped like, immediately. Which actually, that just reminded me of something funny that happened that Steve, like, you'll have to remind me about it. But the story where I sent you the tweet where the guy, he tried to game the bots and ended up getting kind of
getting gamed himself. Yeah. Because what do you call it? The mempool or something.
Yeah, just remind me after we get through the Premint one, just the bots thing, because it's hilarious. It's also sad, but hilarious. All right, so over the course of Sunday, the hackers collected 275 ETH, or just over $400,000, through the sale of 302 stolen NFTs. Hackers have so far retained 18 unsold NFTs, and then sent the funds through Tornado. So the thing that's interesting here is like this one appears to be some sort of dependency injection, which we've seen this type of thing before. And it's one of those things that like we've talked about in InfoSec a ton, right? Like all the different Python libraries, all the different software libraries that are out there that we import all the time, right?
In this case, it'd be more something like Node.js or something like that that's running the website.
Exactly. So, in those cases, like if you're importing a third-party library and that third-party library gets compromised, it'd be very easy for an attacker to inject a malicious piece of script into that third-party library code that you're pulling into your own application. So in that case, like your servers, your website, none of that actually ends up getting hacked, right? What's actually happening is you are actually just importing malicious code directly without even knowing.
Yeah, and the way that can happen is those packages are on basically some kind of repository that when you deploy the website, it pulls down the package either at a specific version or the latest, right? And if that package is assigned to, let's say, reverse shell at mynewemailadress.com, and that domain, mynewemailaddress.com, expires, I can go register that domain, make that email address, and take over that package that package in the package managing system. So I think that's kind of how some of these play out, right? People are taking over those email accounts and then being able to access the package manager, updating it. I don't know how much, if it's more of a wide, are they targeting multiple things, or if this is, specifically for this one entity? I don't know.
So I found a kind of more in-depth write-up of the attack, which I'll post in the Discord. Which I don't know Coin Yuppie, but it looks legit. Basically, there was a JS on the Premint website that was loading from S3. The S3 address had expired, and someone was able to register that S3 address and take over to inject malicious JavaScript. So
interesting. It was the same thing, right? The domain doesn't exist anymore. So
S3-Redwood-Labs. So that, but I guess basically it comes down to, and I could be misinterpreting this, so validate this on your own, but basically it comes down to the developers of the website had an expired JavaScript link to a domain that had since expired, and someone was able to register it. It's a classic cybersecurity attack, right? We even on red teams, we'll go and look at potentially expired domains that our clients are using, or that our clients have previously used, and register them to use, like if they still have backlinks or if they're still used for email. So it's a traditional cybersecurity attack, but I think to sum it all up, that one tweet that basically said, like, I got my funds drained because I trusted you, is a great example of, like, in the crypto space, it's so hard because, especially with NFTs, you look through these transactions, they're huge. It's hard to manually validate, especially, without having knowledge of what a transaction address is. What does an approval look like? What is it asking for my whole wallet? Why is my Bored Ape involved? I'm confused. It's hard. Like you do trust these websites, and when they have an issue like this, I feel like they are on the hook to refund users. Like, as much as we can say for a phishing campaign, oh, well, check it before you click it and make sure you look at the transaction. It's really hard. Ultimately, you have to trust the site with your wallet to be able to trade NFTs. Yep. So I don't really blame the users in this case, but.
Yeah, and we'll talk about a little later on today, actually 2 stories from now, we'll talk about how Metamask has actually put in some pretty cool protections in place to help prevent that. So I want to go back real quick to talk about the thing that I saw. So somebody thought that they were going to be funny, and they decided to put a 100 ETH bid on their own ENS name. Okay, so ENS, it's like the DNS of Ethereum. It's the Ethereum name service where you can, I can have like dafthack.eth and it ties to my wallet. And so basically, a lot of the smaller names, just like the .com bubble, right, have become much higher value. And so people are selling them for a lot. And what somebody figured out is that if they put a really high bid on an ENS name, even if it's just a random address, that bots were starting to pick up those and put in like at least like a small bid. So he put in like 100 ETH bid on his own address, and then a bot immediately picked it up and put in like a bid of like, it's like 1.8 ETH or something. And so he's like, okay, well, sweet. I just tricked this bot into bidding on my own address. And so he accepted it, right? And so he got 1.8 ETH. But what he didn't anticipate was that the bot was immediately going to sell it back to him because he had a 100 ETH bid on it. So he ended up making 1.8 ETH, selling his ENS name, but then the bot sold it right back to him for 100 ETH.
So he lost 90 ETH or whatever.
Yeah, I was dying. It was crazy.
That's rough. I mean, that's the thing of like, you make this transaction or you make this smart contract. How long is it valid? Is it permanent? Is it like, do you have to go revoke it manually? It doesn't expire. Like, you really can screw yourself. That's kind of the theme of cryptocurrency, right?
Yep. All right, so next story we got is the FBI warning about malicious crypto apps. So I don't think this is new by any means, right? Cybercriminals posing as legitimate investment firms and cryptocurrency exchanges have stolen tens of millions of dollars from more than 200 people by convincing them to download mobile apps and deposit cryptocurrency into wallets owned by the perpetrators. So I think the main thing on this one, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is that it seems a little bit more targeted, maybe, towards specific investors and exchanges and companies.
Mm-hmm.
It seems I personally I would guess this is more of like an advertising campaign kind of thing. Like, similar to like win a free iPad, like it's like get $10 free in your wallet when you sign up, or get 50, probably more enticing offer than that, but basically just putting targeted ads out there on like crypto sites. And we've seen lots of ad malware distribution in general. It's a very common technique for distributing malware. Basically just being like, oh yeah, sign up for our trading platform. It's super legit. SSL verified, AES encrypted, all that good stuff. And then, it's just their wallet. you're just depositing, you're just depositing money into their wallet.
Well, so if you scroll back up just a little bit, like right there, President Biden. So it says right there that he signed an executive order outlining a whole of government approach to addressing. So it sounds like this may have been packaged into that thing, right? Hey, let's get the awareness out there, things like that, and let's use the FBI possibly to tell people about it. So I don't think this is targeted. I think this is probably just part of that whole information awareness type scenario.
It's good to see the government playing in the crypto space, though. I mean, I guess it's necessary. I don't know if it's necessarily good, but it's a step towards legitimacy, which I think cryptocurrency needs, especially right now with the way the market is. Like, 244 victims, and it does say 244 victims have been identified, saying that 42 million was stolen. Are you telling me 244 people gave up 42 mil? That doesn't seem possible.
That's one. No, there's a big whale in there.
Someone saw a QR code, scanned it, and then deposited $40 million. I assume that statistic is pulled from somewhere else. Like, that might be total cryptocurrency theft, not just these targeted ad campaigns. But I guess for users who may not know, use things that have good public reputation. Look up, read reviews, look up what you're downloading, check if it's legitimate.
This has 1 star on the App Store.
Or no, it'd be more like, this isn't on the App Store.
Yeah.
I have to, like that's really the red flag.
Download it from this website and install.
Well, that's because their incentives are too good, Steve.
Yeah.
They're giving away so much money that they're not allowed to be on the App Store because they're too good. Yeah, I mean, this is classic fraud, classic, like probably goes back to, if you mail me this amount of money, I'll mail you back twice as much. Like, or like Ponzi schemes, right? Like Bernie Madoff's like, oh yeah, I can double your money in 5 years. Like, and then it's just this is classic. So be careful.
All right. So next story, this is the one I mentioned a little bit ago. Metamask updates, finally are showing some of the implications around certain transactions. So one of the biggest attacks that we see, and we talk about it pretty often, is the idea of like token approvals and wallet draining transactions. So you get, user gets tricked into signing a malicious transaction that sets approval for either a malicious contract or another Ethereum address to have control over a specific token in your wallet. Something that has happened time and time again. And one of the biggest complaints that I've seen around those specific types of transactions is that when you look at it in MetaMask, it literally just says set approval for all. And there's not a whole lot of other details that tell you about what you're really setting that approval for. So you go to mint an NFT, or you go to send a transaction on Uniswap. If you see something that says set approval for all, like that alone isn't usually enough to really make somebody, especially who's not technically I guess like knowledgeable around what that means, the idea of like, oh hey, I'm actually setting approval for all on all of my NFTs in this one contract, or all of my USDT or whatever, right? But so now, because that has been a big complaint, MetaMask has finally started displaying a much more I guess a bigger warning whenever you go to do any sort of transaction that sets approval for all. And so now it'll say something along the lines of, give permission to access all of your base C, like if it was like Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? And so like you're going through transactions now. Hopefully this is a method that will help prevent some of these attacks. Like, yeah, so Ryan, zoom in on that the picture there on the left. Yeah. So you can kind of see where it says get permission to access all of your base C, right? And scroll over to the left a little bit. Yeah, right there. So that should be at least a bigger warning, right? Like you go to mint, some random NFT, and now you see this. That's a big red flag, right?
Yep. And we talked about that with the hack just a minute ago. Basically, where they fished, right, and had to go set the token approval, and then the LP was drained. Exactly the same as this. I put a link into chat for Etherscan token approval checker. You can go in there, see which ones say approved for all, right, and then go in there and revoke those if you need to.
Yep.
And of course, you can open up the wallet address, like in that same screenshot. It says this address has requested approval.
Mm-hmm.
Always worth checking that address, because people will report phishing campaigns on Etherscan, so that can be a beneficial. Maybe if you're the first target, it won't probably show up and it may look legitimate, but over time, it's going to be reported and show up as malicious.
Yep, I'm hoping that helps mitigate a lot of those issues. Still, I'm sure you'll still have people that just click through, and they don't probably, read stuff still, but that should at least be a little bit more clear.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like my advice would be, if you want to trade quickly, don't try to do it manually. And if you are doing something manual, like do it with a bot or use a platform that will allow you to set limits and things like that. If you're just trying to get to the finish line, automate it and set very clear parameters on what you want done. Otherwise, if you're doing it manually, take your time and read through who are you sending the wallet, who are you sending it to, where are you getting it from, all that stuff.
Yep. All right, next up, we've got Chia critical vuln patched. So I know that we've talked about Chia in the past. So apparently, Trailbits did an audit for them for their Cat 1 standard coin and discovered a class of vulnerabilities. We were joking about this earlier, but I mean, I gu's this is the predecessor to Cat 5 cabling.
Yeah, this is separate from their main XCH cryptocurrency. This is like kind of, they call it like cryptographic primitives that allow individuals to issue tokenized versions of stocks, bonds, and other assets on top of Chia. So it's kind of like a primitive, I guess. It's basically like a building block for other protocols. So kind of a niche protocol that probably isn't used by many, but still cool that there was a discovered vulnerability and was fixed before exploitation.
Yeah, and this one would have been bad. Apparently, this would have allowed an attacker to take a Cat 1 into their possession and print/inflate any arbitrary amount of coins, effectively flooding and devaluing the underlying asset. So it would have been a money printer.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, it's a good example of where like the white hat type of stuff should be brought in. I mean, optimally, it should be used before this stuff goes live. Right? Like have a firm audit your stuff before you deploy it live, because there could be people that are using these, and since then they have like deprecated the Cat 1 protocol and now they have the Cat 2 protocol, which everyone's supposed to be moving over to, but obviously they can't just cut everything off. So anyone that still has assets in these Cat 1 tokens is potentially would have been at risk to this if it hadn't been discovered. So kind of still cart before the horse a little bit, which we see so much in cybersecurity where people are, or I mean in crypto security, where people are like, okay, the contract's live, there's 400 million in there, go audit it. Like it's like it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But still good, still a good catch, and good that it's fixed. Other than testing it first before it deploys, this is handled pretty well.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Twitter breach. So this is not a crypto-specific thing. However, probably something, if you use Twitter, you should definitely be aware of. So Twitter has suffered a data breach after threat actors used a vulnerability to build a database of phone numbers and email addresses belonging to 5.4 million accounts. I guess the data was for sale in a hacker forum for $30,000.
Yeah, I mean, data breach is always so hard. Like, what does it mean? What is data breach? This could just be scraped data, whether it's scraped publicly or whether it's using, like what we've seen a lot with data, these kinds of data breaches, is people get access to developer tokens and things that have
API.
API tokens that have more access than like a public bot or a public user would, but aren't like, it's not like they went and dropped, a shell on a database and like selected star from users. You know what I mean? Like, so it's hard to say the origin of this, and it hasn't really been confirmed,
Right.
but at the very least, like Bo said, this means your email's super extra not safe. And especially like people, whales or other people that have public presences, but don't have a like public identity, so to speak. It could expose your username and other things that could link you to your real Twitter account or your real, real email address that could be used to link to a human being, not just a Twitter account.
Well, and these breaches are then reused for further access against people, right? So you have an email address and a phone number. How dangerous can that be? Well, you can semi-validate somebody's, presence and either send them a phish, hey, your phone number here, your account's expired, blah, blah, blah.
Or SIM swap, or
SIM
there's
swap,
so many. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's just a revolving door. Once this data gets breached, it gets reused. And then if they breach more data, then they reuse that. It's like, if you call the scammer, the first thing they ask for is your information so they can sell it to other scammers who know that you're susceptible to scams. Like, it's brutal.
All right, so definitely something to be aware of. Be careful out there, guys, especially with your email. Like, don't trust anything.
Or your phone number. No.
Yeah, phone number.
SMS.
All right, so last one is Harmony breach possible reimbursement. C, you wanna take this one?
Yeah, I mean, in June of this year, the Horizon Bridge, which links to the Harmony blockchain, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Bitcoin. So it's a bridge, allows you to swap between those two and exchange coins and tokens. Was hacked. The hack affected about 65,000 wallets. Well, now Harmony is coming out and saying that they have a strategy to reimburse people. They're going to have a vote based on the value of the tokens lost when the snapshot of the blockchain is taken. So voting for that will take place between August 1st and August 15th. So they're going to try to reimburse people, I believe, by creating a new token called a Vuln token in installments over 36 months, something like that. So interesting. And we talk about this all the time. You get hacked. What do? You either fold or you come out stronger. And I think that's what they're trying to do here. But when you just create a token to say, oh, well, now this will replace that token. I mean, is the market going to pick up on that? Will it be worth anything? I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of like appeasing, right? They're just trying to appease the people here. We're making something for you, but it may not be worth anything. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, at least they're trying something. That's,
Yeah, for sure.
Better
I
than
mean,
a
it's
lot.
better than nothing, I guess, if
Yeah.
you were the victim of that hack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to, to repay your users kind of in your own way instead of just handing them stacks of cash. You're kind of like encouraging them to use the platform again and all that. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we've seen like NiceHash. NiceHash was hacked, 10 years ago? It was a long time ago. I don't know, pretty long ago. But they ended up reimbursing their users back in Bitcoin. So they didn't like create another token or crypto and give it out that way. So I don't know how that would happen here because it happened across multiple protocols and tokens. I think it said 14 different 14 asset types. So it might be hard to give those same asset types back to the people who lost it. I mean, somebody lost 1 inch token. Are you going to go buy that much and then give it back to the user? That's a lot of transaction fees to get all those users back. So it does make more sense to create something on the cheap and give it out. Hopefully it takes.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing that's interesting is like to monitor will be the price of these tokens that they're issuing. Like they're doing it over time, so it doesn't just chank immediately when they reissue all of them, but like Will it stay strong? Will anyone actually buy these? Or is it all just going to be like, okay, I'm going to cash out and leave? It's kind of like incentivized, I assume, to keep people to actually use the platform and not just be like, all right, I'll take my money and go invest it somewhere else. So, but it's better than nothing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, that is it for today, guys. That's all the stories we have. So it's been good. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for listening, everyone that participated in Discord today. Thank you guys for hanging out and asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And we'll be back. We're going to be back next week. I'm going to say it. It's going to happen. We're not going to skip a bunch of weeks this time. We'll be back.
Hopefully we'll have Ralph back, maybe a guest.
Yep.
We'll work on something. Hopefully a crypto lawyer or somebody knowledgeable in that space come on here and give you not legal advice, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. Well,
Sure.
All right, everyone. We will catch you next week. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.